Most concerts are based on mainstream. So I always have to think how to get out of it. But Ojai is very special because there is no fight with new music. There is no fear. There is only curiosity and hunger for the fresh air of today. There are people who are completely open-minded. So it's a wonderful possibility for me to do things which I really enjoy. And Ojai is magic. I'm searching, and I think it's so beautiful to start this festival with Luigi Nono's piece, La lontananza nostalgica utopica futura, because it's a piece which is not so much played, but is more listening. It's a situation of searching, walking, listening, remembering, imagine. It's all together. It's all together. It's what we should do actually in a concert. I find it also beautiful that sounds coming from the electronics in this piece are sounds of Gidon Kremer. It's one of the strongest voices in our time. Well, because we are in Ojai, we were thinking very hard about the beginning of this festival. This piece is perfect to start to show our vision of how to listen music, how to position it. And why not in the park, having the possibility to walk between trees and music stands and loudspeakers, electronics and people. Playing music is very much also about the receiving sounds. It changes between the source of the music and the ears which listen to these sounds. I think it's a magical message to all of us. Audience, musician, electronics, nature, Ojai. Listen and imagine something. The concert routine all over the world is based on the repeating of same pieces of dead composers. It's so absurd. It's all quite dead and it has not very much information relevant to our time. So Bye Bye Beethoven is a project which tries to express this concern about petrified traditions. I don't think Beethoven would be happy to know that in the future his music would take so much space. Also, he would wish to develop the music, to hear new sounds. Some years ago, I approached Michael Hirsch and asked him to write a violin concerto for me and St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. I had these feelings of having found a composer which completely fits my imagination of the depth and power of music. It is so dark. This darkness is sometimes something where I can see so much more than in the light. And he's writing a piece for Ojai Festival. It will be the world premiere for a small ensemble, 2 sopranos. And I'm extremely curious to hear this piece. And I'm even a bit afraid. I think music of Galina Ustvolskaya is not very well known. It's one of strongest music I know. Igor Stravinsky said when he first heard her music, now I understand what is Iron Curtain. So I find it very interesting to play her music in Ojai. Of course, it's not at all music to enjoy, but it is a very, very important music to understand the past and the mark of the bone. We will play the duet for violin and piano, and Markus Hinterhäuser, the piano player who I admire a lot, will play her 6 piano sonatas. It's a fantastic opportunity to hear her music all in one piece, on one day. It will be a hard day, but you will never forget it, I think. The question of environment is the top questions of really the whole planet. Thinking about the environment, I'm thinking about the end of the world, of course, of the Dies Irae, Day of Judgment. And of course, one of the strongest pieces ever written is the Dies Irae of Galina Ustvolskaya, Russian composer who almost nobody knows. It's the center of this project. Around this piece, we play other pieces which are also very close to the emotional state of spirit. All the wars which we have now on our planet are because people get in trouble because of the climate change. And the project starts with this thematic. What is a war for us? For example, we combine music of Bieber and Crump. Bieber was born very shortly after the 30 years war in Europe. To combine this with George Crump's Black Angels of his emotional reaction to the Vietnam War, we go further to Michael Hirsch's violin concerto, an incredible, dark, strong piece, looking inside in our soul, like opening all our wounds, facing the brutality of ourselves, of our destinies. I find music a very rich territory for expressing things which we cannot express with words. Before Georgi Kurtak's Kafka fragments, we knew songs by Schubert, by Schumann, by Mendelssohn, by Brahms, but this kind of combination and this kind of compressed essence of text and music, I think it's really absolutely unique. Everything behind the notes, between the notes, in the text, it's an amazing piece. It should be played and sung in every festival, in every concert hall. I think one of the really best orchestras in the world is Male Chamber Orchestra. It's a bunch of very strong individuals, and they play together like they fight for the truth. Jack Quartet is making its debut in Ojai Festival. I got to know Jay Campbell, the cellist of the Jack Quartet. He is able to play everything on his instrument. He plays a lot of modern music. Jack Quartet is of course known for its engagement with composers of our time, but they also can play fantastic early music, combining Machot with Ligeti, for example, or John Dowland with Tigran Mansourian, the Armenian composer. It's an amazing chance to hear one of the best quartets in our world. My parents are folk musicians, so I'm incredibly happy to have my parents in Ojai and to play with them together on stage. It's always a wonderful experience. We will combine it with Enescu's third sonata for violin and piano, number 3. There is nothing similar to this music. Based on folklore, but there is not one melody, original folk music. It's all imaginative folk music, which I find so interesting. Combining this with this crazy folk music which my parents play, I find very, very interesting and from my homeland. One of the best ever written violin concertos is, of course, Georgi Ligeti's violin concerto. I think it's also one of his best pieces. It's a combination of everything what he was thinking about, what he was searching about. He always reminds me on a scientist being in the middle of a laboratory and making different experiments with very old structures, very old approach to the music, making us hear things which happen at the same time in different speeds. It has a mystical power on our brain. You can't believe how much is in this score. When you open it, it's just incredible to see all these things. By playing it, you feel like an astronaut flying into the universe. You find everything. It's always like an acrobatic act on a very, very high level. Ending with this concerto is giving us a new energy to find ourselves in space where we can find new ways, new technical abilities, where we get to superpower. It's so fun to play it and to see whether we get it or not. So we will dance for you impossible music. Hopefully it will be a sign for an even more intense future of Ojai Festival and of ourselves. Enjoy it.